and everyone's going to listen to this podcast, going to start dying laughing when I sing, because I'm going to sing a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, go.
I'm so glad that Jesus is his name. And I sing that. And that's what I sing before I do presentations. That's what I do before I did this podcast. And that's what me and my little boy, we sing that before he goes to school. And, and that's what helps us. That's what helps.
Good evening, and welcome to the fourth edition of Process, Preparation, and Performance. I'm Bill. I'm here with JR, and we are extremely humbled and honored to have Coach Howard Brown of the McCluer Comets here with us tonight. Coach Brown has been not only an opponent for Coach Simmons and I, but somebody that we incredibly respect. We enjoyed having him in our clinic this year. To be honest with you, Coach, I think it was probably the best presentation I heard all day at the clinic. Everybody was engaged. They were fully sitting up in their chairs. You had them laughing. You had them wanting to learn. It was great. So welcome, Coach. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you guys so much. It's always a great time to talk football with you guys. I was blessed to have the opportunity to come to Columbia, and come back to Columbia is always a great time, but to come back and to talk football with a group of amazing coaches and great, amazing people, it was a true blessing. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Coach. JR, we have some stats about the podcast, right? And you just gave me one off air, which I can't believe. I really can't believe it. Go ahead and tell people what we're talking about.
So we really appreciate everybody listening to the podcast. We're very close to 200 listens on SoundCloud. And what was a little bit shocking is the number 2 country listening to this podcast is Norway. So whoever is listening in Norway, get a hold of us. We'll put you on the podcast. If you speak Norwegian, we may have a little bit of an issue there, but we'll make it work. That was a little bit surprising, to say the least.
It was very shocking. I'm still really chuckling about it. I'm very flattered, to be honest with you. Coach Brown, COVID-19, everybody's quarantined. How hard is this right now for you when you're in the off season for football? You guys would normally be in the weight room. You got other kids, in track or baseball. How hard is this right now?
It's very challenging. We pride ourselves on family. I know other teams and other programs say that, but we see our kids every day. We reach out to them. We go by their homes. We check on them, and to not be able to put my hands on my guys and give them a hug and and speak to them is very challenging right now. But we understand why we're doing it, to try to keep everyone safe and try to find a cure for this virus right now. But it's extremely challenging. I mean, we're very busy at this time of the year, and not to be selfish towards the track team and the other baseball teams, but it's very challenging right now. So we're praying and praying that God blesses that this thing can get a cure for it, and we can get back to our normal lives.
Are you guys staying healthy?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm checking on the guys every day. We give them workouts. I think every coach in America and the world is giving their guys virtual workouts. And, I have a couple linebackers that I'm telling them, you need to FaceTime me. We're going to do our push-ups and crunches together. And during a certain time of the afternoon, I'll be somewhere in my house and we'll start doing the push-ups and the crunches and things like that. So, because I have some of my linebackers need to get their bodies, keep their bodies where they were a couple weeks back. So, we're trying though. We're trying and we're attempting.
Coach, I have a couple of questions for you, because playing against you, one of the biggest things that I saw and that I respected was your team is a class act. And that's not just from when you were at Berkeley. I actually took some time and took a couple players down to watch you guys play in the district title game this year. And I saw the same exact thing out of all those men on the sideline and all those coaches that I saw when you were at Berkeley, and it just impressed the hell out of me, to be honest with you. I was enamored by it. I loved watching it. So much I was watching the sideline as much as I was watching the game because everybody was engaged. Did you have a coach when you were growing up and playing that impacted you to act in this manner, to want to lead in this manner? How'd you get started?
Basically, I give all the credit to my mom and my dad, my grandfather, my uncles, because in my high school coach, because basically I took pieces from my Sunday school teacher. I took pieces from my high school coach. I took pieces from, Gary Pinkel, Larry Smith, Barry Odom. He was a senior captain my freshman year at Mizzou. I took bits and pieces from every coach that I've ever worked with, and and just all of my my run-ins with other players and just my experience, and kind of put it all together. And and that's the great part about coaching, is the fact that if you listen and have your heart open, God will send you bits and pieces to help you cultivate what you're trying to do. So I'll give credit to everyone. I give credit to every single individual that I've ever came encounter with when it came down to athletics. And my parents and my upbringing in church. That's really where I get everything from. A lot of the things that I've said on and off camera, on television, whatever the case might be, it's all based around my Sunday school teacher and my mom and my dad, and
Nice.
my grandma, grandpa, and all those things. So I'm just basically just repeating what I've been told, and my teachings and my upbringing.
So Howard, here's a question for you. When we came down with Blair Oaks, and like Bill said, you guys are class act top to bottom. There is no denying it. I got to have an explanation on one thing. What is up with the classical music?
Well, Coach Manning, we have like Coach Manning does a phenomenal job of putting together a mixtape or DVD, CD, excuse me, of songs that the kids like to listen to when they're warming up. And so we want to be appropriate. Everyone doesn't like listening to hip hop or R&B or rap or whatever. So someone said something to us, man. It was over a decade ago about the music. So basically, we come out, really early. So we have 1 o'clock kickoff. We're outside at 10 a.m. And and we're warming up and we're listening to the music that that the kids chose to listen to while they're warming up. So when the other team comes out, typically they come out like an hour before kickoff. That's what normal people do. We don't do that, but we just turn on classical music for them. No one can ever say anything bad. I think one school, they flipped out over the classical music. I don't know why, but I think they just were slipping out about it. I don't know, but yeah, that's like a little staple that Coach Manning brought to the table as far as just helping other team warm up and get relaxed.
It was funny because I remember climbing on top of the press box and getting everything ready, and then it was about 600 decibels of classical music, and I was like, "What is going on here?" It was definitely an experience. Well, let me ask you one more question. When we came down there, I saw this mint condition El Camino sitting down on the track. Hey, who owns that thing?
Oh, that's Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen, he's retired now, but he was the head custodian at the high school. And and he lives right across the street from the stadium, and so he'll come in and unlock the gate, and he'll park his car right there and get the field ready for the game. And Mr. Allen has been around for a long time. He was there when I was in high school. He's a huge believer of faith and hard work, and he's part of the team. Mr. Allen's the guy that he'll come in. He said he doesn't say too much, but when he does say something, it means a lot, and it's very powerful.
Well, I got to tell you, we enjoyed the classical music, and because we had scouted you all after you guys given us a really good butt whipping, we knew the classical music was coming, and we had to talk to our players all week because we had a bunch of country kids that like to listen to a bunch of country music all the time, some hip hop, some rock and roll, a bunch of different stuff. So we're like, hey man, you're going to hear some classical music when you go down there. And classic doesn't mean 1980, man. It's a whole different genre, right?
Right.
So I remember talking to one of the players. He was our starting tackle and D lineman, and we got there, and super smart kid. We're talking like 34, 35 on his ACT, just, several standard deviations above normal on the intelligence curve. And he's like, Coach, I love this music. It makes, it makes me prepared better, I believe. And I'm like, all right, man, to each his own, whatever it takes, man. I'll tell him to turn it up if that's what you need today, but whatever. But you mentioned it, Coach, and I think it's awesome. Faith and hard work. Tell us about it.
Well, faith and hard work is basically, it's something that has started a long time ago. I want to say, man, when I was in high school, and for me as a believer of Christ, in high school as a captain, I used to tell my quarterback, I'm like, I'm not blocking for you until you say thank you, Jesus. And for me, I'm giving God the praise, good, bad, or indifferent. Freshman year, they thought I was nuts and crazy and, whatever. But then when you grow 2 or 3 inches over the summer and gain about 15 pounds, a muscle, then all of a sudden people like, oh yeah, thank you, Jesus. So, I wrote that out and basically just put my faith out there, and I wasn't ashamed of my beliefs and how, I was raised. And so that's what we did. We broke it down saying, thank you, Jesus. Well, fast forwarded to when I took over at MSB. I was 23 years old, 23, 24 years old. And, people laughed at us and told us that we were insane and we would never win. And, Berkeley's a small school. We shouldn't even have football anymore. And, and I told them, I said, we will beat certain schools. We will make the playoffs. We will be consistent. And they laughed. And I said, we're going to put, big schools on our schedule, and we're going to do this, going to do that. And they were like, sure. Okay, young man, So the principal at Berkeley at the time, Mr. Mitchell, God rest his soul, he was he was crazy. He was crazy to give me a shot, because I had no experience coaching football, and those kids were, just, a handful of years younger than I was. So for them to give me a shot, I was like, yeah, this man must be crazy, I'm like, but hey, let's see what happens. And, after getting your head beat in, you're 1-9, 2-8, and, trying to keep kids involved, and you're praying to God every single day that kids will show up to practice. And they did. And the difference was we started to teach and preach about why we are playing football. What does football really means for this community? And so when we started doing that, it was more like we're playing for pride. We're playing for, breaking these stigmas. We're praying for, a belief that, it doesn't matter about your skin color, your economic background. You can be successful. And so I said, we all believe this until no one believes it until you do it. So I want to say it was 2006, 2007 year. No, 2006, 2007, 2008 was our first winning season. And, we went 6-3, and people was like, man, this is crazy, man. You guys are winning, blah, blah, blah. And then coach, a friend of mine, assistant coach Corey Smith, he made some shirts. And when he made the shirt on the front of the shirt, it says faith and hard work. And I was like, I said, Corey, this is hot, man. This is hot, and Mark and I'll send you guys a picture of our first district title. But anyway, we all had hair back then. But basically, that was the beginning. And big, I call him Big Dog, but Corey, said that he was like, man, everything that we talk about every day is faith and hard work. He like, we're just going to put a phrase to it. And so when people ask what is faith and hard work, they don't want to hear the entire story. I just say faith in yourself, faith in your community, faith in your higher power, and you outwork everybody. And that's what we do. We have faith in each other because we see each other every day. We have faith in our community because they come to show up before the games and they donate and they do things to help us out. And we have faith in ourselves, we have faith in our community, and faith in our higher power, which every single day you get the opportunity to breathe, is a higher power that's giving you the opportunity to breathe, and then the hard work is self-explanatory, but we have to outwork everyone. And that's what faith and hard work is.
What do you see as the biggest difference, for you or the way you approach things from a preparation standpoint between when you were 23, 24 years old versus now?
Basically, nothing really. I think that technology has improved, so you don't have to watch the entire VHS tape anymore. And so I was still in that phase. Like, we were in that phase still when I first started coaching, and then it turned to DVDs. I used to watch the entire game. And when you're not winning a lot of games, it's not hard. Like, you'll watch a game or two and that's it. But it got a little harder, when you start making the playoffs, and you're playing 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games. All of a sudden, things start to kind of, spill over to the next game, And so, you have that. It's pretty much technology. The better the technology is, then the easier it is for me to watch film. So I can break it up. I can break it up. I don't have to watch all the clips at that particular time, So now you have the filters where you have first down run, second down run, third down runs, trick plays, outside, inside, option, RPO stuff. That stuff is broken down already for you. For me, my guys do an amazing job of breaking it down for me, and and you're watching it. But I say, like, that's during the regular season, but the playoffs, I watch everything. As a head coach, I watch every single play of the opponent. Even though I don't call the offense, I want to know what they're trying to run defensively against other schools. Because sometimes I steal things. I steal certain concepts from other schools and say, wow, okay. Like for you guys ran, like a 5-2, like the old school 5-2.
Right.
And we were really curious to why everyone in that area ran a 5-2. So, basically, I was raised in that, the 50, we call it 52 tough. And I was raised in that. But the way you guys ran it, I took it and I kind of, tweaked it to our athletes. And, we run a variation of that now, So, me watching everyone's everything, it helps us out a lot. Special team, defensively, offensively, it helps us out a lot. But I would say the thing that has changed the most is the technology, because I studied the same. Coach Manning studies the same. How we give the information to the young people is the same. It's just now, instead of pieces of paper or handing out DVDs, now we tag you in the film on Huddle, and and we go from there.
Right. I don't think that guy was dumb at all, Coach. It sounds like he was extremely smart when he hired you. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Like. He told me that. He told me, he said, "Don't make me like a complete idiot, Howard." I said, "Yes, sir."
You mentioned Coach Pinkel and Coach Smith. How was it playing at Mizzou, and is there anything you could tell us about Coach Miguchi?
You know what? It was a learning experience. Coming from I'm originally from Mississippi, and moving to St. Louis and living in predominantly Black areas, African American areas, and going to Berkeley, which is one of the best experiences of my life. Basically, going to Mizzou, where it's 90% non-African American individuals of color, and allowing myself to adapt and to learn and to become a better person. It was great. At first, it was kind of confusing. That campus is huge. When you're 18 years old, it's kind of confusing. But after a while, after the first semester, it was kind of cool. Pat Mangucci was my roommate and 2 days.
Oh my!
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm really sorry.
He was my roommate. He was my roommate. The crazy thing about Pat was, I looked up to Pat, and Pat didn't know that. I remember watching Mizzou on ESPN with Justin Smith and all those guys or whatever, and it was just crazy. It was crazy watching him. And so when I saw Pat, I was in awe of him, and he didn't know that, and when you're in college, I didn't know it either, but you're in competition. So, I was a 3 technique, Pat was a 3 technique, and Pat was a senior, I was a freshman. So, we're in competition, but we're roommates. And so, it was strange at first, just like my experience in Columbia, period. It was strange first, but after a while, it was a high level of respect. And, I learned a lot from Pat, and, and we called him Gooch, but like Gooch, it was major respect, because times were changing. When we got up there with Justin Gage, Zach Abram, Darius Outlaw, Cliff Young, just to name a couple guys, we were in the 2000s now at that point. And, and some of those guys was in the 90s and the 80s, how they thought process were. And now the game was getting a little faster. The game was getting faster across the board. So, I was an inside linebacker in high school, and I started playing the 3 technique, So now you're starting to get faster people at different positions, even though they're as big as you are. But, you take a safety and put them at, at linebacker. You take a corner and put them at safety, so on and so forth. So things were getting faster, and, the experience was great. I love Mizzou. I bleed black and gold through and through. And, Gooch, seeing him on that sideline brought tears to my eyes, and I wanted him to be proud of me, because towards the end, we were, he'll tell me some, hey, Howard, you need to keep your nose clean, man. Just work hard and just do what they tell you to do, and blah, blah, And, he told me a lot of good things. So for me, it was just great. It was great to see him, and I hope he's proud of me. I hope he's proud of what, because a lot of things that he said to me, I take it and I put it into what we do.
I think a lot of people are proud of you, Coach.
No, man.
And Coach, you mentioned a lot of your time at Berkeley. You guys were featured on the Ellen Show. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Basically, I had an amazing individual that wrote a letter for us, and and when they wrote that letter, it changed a lot of things, because people around here knew about faith and hard work and everything, but when you go from local news, state level to worldwide, I mean, now it's a little different, and it was a letter that was written by an individual that had an opportunity to see what we did, and and watch what we did, and they were inspired. And by them being inspired, they wrote the letter, and and they wrote the letter to Ellen, and from there we got I got a phone call. It's so funny how people can get your phone number without even asking you. But I got a phone call from a producer, and he texted me and was like, "Hey, it was a good time to talk." I'm like, "Oh God, we're about to play Cardinal Ritter." I mean, we were about to play homecoming, I think, at that time, and I'm like, "I don't have time for this." Got homecoming. I'm about to say no. I mean, because some interviews I don't do, but I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So anyway, they Skype. I downloaded Skype on my phone, and before my son got in the shower, I was Skyping, and I said, "Listen, be quiet. Dad's gonna get on Skype. It's all good." And we Skype with one of the producers, and his name was Alex, and Alex was like enamored. He was like, "Oh my God, this is so great." I'm like, "Okay, cool," and okay, thank you, and that was it. I got a phone call the next day from his boss, and his boss was like, "Oh my God, I heard so many great things about you, Coach. Tell me a little bit about yourself." I'm like, okay, here we go. All right. So I tell him that. Then I said, like, a couple days later, I got another call from another producer.
Oh man.
And so I'm like, yeah, it might be a little serious now, And so they were like, "Hey, can you guys Skype with us, some of your team?" So I'm like, okay. So we Skyped after practice. I just got some seniors, and and it was totally it wasn't rehearsed, and it was great. And so basically that's what happened. And then after that, they were like, "We love it. Everything's great." They was like, "We'll let you know." Okay, thank you. Have a good day. And we won homecoming. Thank God we won homecoming. Wasn't distracted too much. And then the following week, we was about to play Cardinal Ritter. At the time, Cardinal Ritter was like number 2 in the state. They had the kid Jameson that's at Ohio State right now, and a bunch of other Division I kids. So we're getting ready for that. We got told that we will be closing our doors and we'll be merging with McCluer, and it was very emotional. That week was very, very emotional. A lot of the kids was like, Coach, what are we playing for? There's no next year. What do we do? And you're trying to encourage the kids, but inside, you're in pain as well. I'm a Berkeley graduate, so it was very challenging for us as well. But, the kids, the community, it showed exactly what faith and hard work is. And they showed, that it doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter the situations or the problems, you can persevere as long as you keep God first and you bust your tail. So we got told that they'll be doing another Skype interview, but can you guys put on some jerseys? I'm like, okay, cool, sure, no problem. And but my friend who was in charge of security for the district, he said, man, we got a lot of cameras here, Coach. Like, are they just doing like a basic interview like they typically do for you? Or I said, man, I don't know. And all of a sudden, I said, well, ask them where they're from. It's like they're from Burbank, California. So I'm like, so I called I called our PR guy. I called him.
Oh man.
I was like, man, who am I talking to today? And he was like, Coach, we got a couple interviews for you. I'm like, okay, cool. And like, honestly, I'm not exaggerating. This is normal. This is normal for us. It's just like, someone's going to pop up, going to talk to you. Okay, sure. Okay. So I'm still thinking about Jameson, and his 4.3 speed at 6'4", and going to Ohio State. So I don't really care about who's coming, right? So anyway, when we get there, when I get there and everything, we're watching film on Carter Ritter. And, it was like, Coach, can you guys, meet somewhere else besides the regular meeting room? I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is really bothering me. So anyway, you guys want to lose, we're about to play number 3 team in the state. What are you doing? So anyway, we come downstairs and it's a regular camera crew. Like, it's like one big camera and like they got monitors and everything. I'm like, well, let me not overthink it. So my friends told me to get a haircut. I was like, no, I don't get a haircut. Stay focused. And they were like, get a haircut, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not getting a haircut. Leave me alone. So anyway, we're standing there, and then all of a sudden, bam, they go Ellen. And everybody goes crazy. And, I couldn't breathe. It was hot.
Wow.
The air conditioning was on. I couldn't breathe, but everybody jumping up. The kids, somebody elbowed me in the back of the head. It was just insane. It was crazy. And, it was a blessing, man. I can't express it enough how much we appreciate, individuals that wrote that letter, because when you inspire someone, you never know that you inspire them. When you prick their heart with what you're doing and your energy and why you do what you're doing, you never know. And you never know who's watching you. Do it because the purity and the passion, of why you do what you're doing. And I don't care what that is, if that's football, basketball, baseball, or choir, or whatever you do it with faith and hard work, and it works out. So, but yeah, that's the story.
That's just fantastic. I remember reading that online before we came down to play you guys, and just happened upon that, and had the bits and pieces of the story, but I've always wanted to be able to ask you, what was the whole story for behind that, and just really appreciate you sharing that. And I've got one more for you here, Coach. I'll turn it back over to Bill here. I loved your clinic talk, and the best thing I thought of the entire thing was when you said you have no idea why anybody wants to do anything at 6 a.m. I thought that was the greatest statement that was ever made. And, anybody that was sitting in that room, there was a lot of laughter going on in there when you made that statement. And I agree with you. If nobody else does, I do. I don't think there's any reason to do anything before about 9. And like you said there, football ain't played at 6 a.m. It ain't played at 7. It ain't played at 8. So just want to let you know you got an agreeer with you on that for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm not a fan of it, man. I'm not a fan of it at all, because I just feel like, honestly, we play at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 90% of our games are 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't have to get my kids hyped up for 7 p.m. games. Like, you're crazy. Like, it's Friday night lights. I don't care what state or what country you're from. like Friday Night Lights will get anyone revved up. You know, I don't have to rev them up. I have to turn them down some. So, you know, 6 a.m. workouts, man. I mean, we've beaten teams that have 6 a.m. workouts, and that sounds great. We've been beaten by teams that have 6 a.m. workouts. That's great. But, you know, me personally, I love working my guys out in the hottest part of the day. I think that's more realistic. You know, at noon is the hottest part of the day. I've never had a game get canceled or get moved back because it was hot. We've been blessed and cursed with some officials who are like hardcore, man. Like they don't care. And so, you know, we played on turf when it was like 98 degrees. We played on regular surfaces when it was 100 degrees. And at the end of the day, honestly, you know, you got to play. And, you know, water breaks and timeouts, that stuff doesn't stop anything because your heart rate is beating. Your heart rate is off the charts and you're playing against an opponent. So now everything has heightened even more. So, you know, I'm just not a fan of it. We tried it, I think, like my first couple of days of practicing or something like that. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not waking up this early for this. You know, like you're crazy, you know, and that's just what it is, man. You know, that's what it is. So I don't knock anyone, but we won't be doing it. We will not be doing it.
I'm going to ask you a couple other questions, Coach, and one of them's I have to know myself. I have to know because of our contest against each other. It's our first ever meeting between the two of us. You guys come to Blair Oaks. You got there like 2:00, I think. You were eating lunch there. I remember reading in the paper you wanted to bring Berkeley to Blair Oaks, and you wanted your kids to see what that was all about. But there was a point in that game where, in my mind, it was a huge turning point. And the question I got to know, it's two parts. Number one, what was the call on the goal line stand before half? It's bothered me for a long time. And number two, how did your kids feel? Because I can still remember them jumping up and down and kids with like 45-inch verticals hurdling some of our kids to get back to your sideline right there before the half. So what was the call on that goal line stand?
Well, we have that's funny. That's funny because my dad has seen it for man since I was like a sophomore in high school. It's just gap 8. It's just a gap 8. But what we did was we call it dog. You know, we call it the dog because basically I took some of our I took our defensive linemen and our rotators and I took out my safety. Well, no, I didn't. I took out my defensive ends. I took my 2 defensive ends out and I added 2 defensive tackles. And, and I moved the kid that typically plays the 5 tech. I put him at the 3. And, and I figured that you guys were going to go to that hole, to the 0 to the 3 hole. And I put our best D tackle right there. And, and basically, man, it's called the dog. And it's basically a gap 8. It has some wrinkles. It has some wrinkles to it, but it's a gap 8 basically. And we put our hands in there. We put our hands in there and we prayed. We just prayed, man. And we prayed. That's what we do when it's when it's time. I don't pull that card out often. During a football game, I really don't. And you said you came to the St. Charles West game,
yep.
And you saw us. And well, if you saw us and you saw all our kids holding, locked arms. And this was before half. We locked arms, and we feel like it says in the Bible, when 1 or 2 are gathered in my name, he'll be in the presence. And so we feel like, well, we have more than 2, so we're gonna lock arms. And when we locked arms, then that's when we felt that surge of energy, that surge of power, and as God. And on that goal line, we were, quote unquote enemy territory, and we was on the goal line. I said, man, the game is won and lost right here, man. I had tears in my eyes. I never forget, I had tears in my eyes. And I said, Lord, this is it. I said, this is the time of the game. This is going to change the game right here. This is it. And all my guys put their big paws on my hand. And, and everybody prayed. And then Jordan Cole was like, man, put your hand in there, man. It's that time. And I told him, I asked everybody every 2 days. I said, it's going to come a time in the season that I'm going to ask you for something. I said, I'm gonna ask you. I said, I want you to believe. I want you to do it without saying anything to me, without questioning me. Just do it. And everybody like, in August, everybody like, yeah, coach, I'll do it, whatever you say. But when the time comes, like I said, I'm not gonna ask homecoming game. I'm not gonna ask week 2. I'm gonna ask in the quarterfinal game. I'm gonna ask in the district championship game. I'm gonna ask in the semis. I'm gonna ask that question, and I'm like, man, it's time. And that's all I told him. I said, man, they was like, coach, what's the adjustment? There's no adjustment. Put your hand in here. It's time. It's time. And I said it's time. And Jordan Cole looked at me, and my linemen looked at me in the D line. They said, yes, sir. And I mean, it gives me chills to even talk about it. But
Me too.
it was time, and that's the word. The word is it's time. And all those young men, they put their hands in there, and that belief, that faith, it superseded everything. I don't care. I'm not gonna lie to you, man, coach. If it was the Rams, if it was an NFL team, if it was Mizzou, like when everyone's on one accord, there's nothing that can stop that force. There's nothing that can stop it. And I knew when I came back, one of the coaches said, "Coach, what you call?" I said, "It's just time." And everybody backed up, and everybody started clapping their hands, and you start saying thank you, Jesus, because you know it's about to happen. And that's what happened. So it wasn't a surprise like on the tape. I wasn't jumping up and down. I wasn't punching the air in excitement. I knew it was time, and that's what it was.
I'm happy I asked, and I'm sad I asked at the same time. I'm trying to figure out what my emotions are right now, Coach. You got me.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted right now. One other thing. I think I talked to you about this at the clinic. There was a point in the game we're playing. Was Davion Trust? Was that his name?
Yes, sir.
And my son heard you say, "Davion, go get the football." And he went up and made one of the best interceptions I think I've ever seen in high school football. How good of an athlete was he?
Man, he the crazy thing about we called him Day Day. Day Day was probably one of the best athletes we had, but he wasn't the best. Jordan Cole was the best. He was the best athlete I ever had. But
oh yeah, he was good.
But Day Day passion was unparalleled though, man. Like he would go to a different place. He'll go to a different place. And when he'll go to that different place, it was crazy, man. It was insane because with him, the day before we played you guys, man, he went through. He lost his uncle.
Oh,
and and there was a lot of other personal things that happened in that young man's life, and he just unparalleled. Like athletically, he could play linebacker, he could play defensive end, he could play corner, he could play safety, he could play any of the receiver positions, tight end, which he did all these things for us. He's just, had the biggest hands. If you ever seen on a person, man, he has the biggest hands, but like his just it's insane, man. And that class that came down there with us, like we had some phenomenal young men, and they were very, very, very humble to not, because they could have went in other places and been the guy. But Day Day waited his turn. And I told him, I said, bro, we love you. But the bridge of communication, the bridge of love was started way back in 7th grade. So when these kids all of a sudden become 6'3", 6'4", and, become these monsters on the football field, you've already built that trust with them. So,
Sure.
and you go to their homes and you come in the house and, no matter what you see, you still give them a hug and say, man, here's a pair of shoes, or here's some shorts, or here's some, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So Day, when he came off what you're talking about, he came off. I said some choice words to him. I said, I need that bleeping ball back, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. I need that bleeping ball back. Like, we need to win. Like, go get it. And he was like, and he had tears in his eyes. He had tears in his eyes, man. And he went and got the ball.
Oh, he
So,
did.
man,
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy, but he didn't want to lose. He didn't want to say goodbye. And it wasn't so much losing. He didn't want to say goodbye because we have a thing that I go to my defensive guys at the end and I say, man, we had a good time, right? And when I say that, they know the game is over and there's no more football for us. And at the end, and you guys deserve to win. I mean, you guys outplayed us and you guys deserve to win. But I went to him. I said, we had a good time, right? He said, oh, God, coach, don't say that. Don't say that. But I gathered all my guys on defense, and they gave me all they had because that's all I require that. It's mandatory. You give me all that, you give me your soul. I'm going to give you mine, and we're gonna cry, we're going to smile, we're going to laugh. But this is it. And I said, it's time to say goodbye, man. I said, give me a hug, man. And he's like, coach, man, don't say that, please. I mean, but it's life. It's time for another chapter. So Day for his athleticism is amazing, but his heart and his passion, oh my God, it is. Oh my God, it's insane. It's insane.
That's amazing, Coach. I gotta tell you one comment about Coach Manning. We were at the Glazier Clinic after you all beat us, and one of the other coaches there was with me. He goes, "Hey, isn't that the OC from Berkeley?" And I go, "Yeah, it is. I'm gonna go talk to him." And I didn't know you guys from Adam, and I went up, and Coach Manning is standing there, and his hat's a little crooked. Okay, it's not straight, it's not backwards, it's a little crooked. He's got his flat bill, and I'm like, "Hey, Coach, how you doing?" Coach Duke, DC at Blair Oaks at the time, at Jeff City now, but at the time still at Blair Oaks. I go, you guys just played a great game. How'd you know you could beat us? And Coach Manning didn't skip a beat. He looked me straight in my eye and he goes, "We knew we were faster than you." And I got to tell you, that one exchange, that one little interaction, A, it was impressive. B, I enjoyed it. But C, it motivated me to do more in the off season than I probably ever would have. And I have this, it's not fictitious, it's real. It's called a list, okay? It's in my head of all the people that I'm like, I have to play them again. And from that conversation on, I told the other coaches, I go, you put them on the list. We are playing those dudes again because that was some of the best time of my life. So, thank you to Coach Manning for that. All right. A phenomenal guy. We would like to steal him away from you anytime, to be honest with you. He said he's not moving, but you guys have been incredible. I know we didn't get to too much technique. We did ask off air if you believed us with inside outsider option. I know you referenced it. So I'm going to take it as a maybe with the addition of RPO. I'm going to take it as a maybe. And that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Coach, I can't thank you enough. It was incredible at the clinic. It's been even better here tonight. If there's anything that we can ever do for you, if there's anything you need from us, we got your back, man, anytime.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate you guys 100%. I believe that the opportunity to for Coach Manning to go up there and to spread the word about faith and hard work, and and then also in turn, he goes to a different place this year, and I come up there to Columbia. It's just a blessing, man. We're humbled, and we're really appreciative of every coach in the state that works hard and that puts in the work, because a lot of times people only ask questions of me because they saw my face on TV and things like that. But I tell everyone, I said, man, I have an amazing team with me. I'm part of a great team. God is in charge of it. God has ways to humble us. And I pray to God every day that God doesn't have to humble me, because he has before. And we're humbled by, just to be asked to do things like this, to talk ball, to spread the message about how amazing our kids are in our district, Ferguson, Florissant, and North County, period. We have a bad stigma attached to our names, but I'm a product of North County. A lot of my friends, my loved ones are, and, they're doing amazing in life. They're amazing citizens and just great people. And so, for Coach Walker at the time and for you guys and other people, man, that showed us such hospitality and love when we came to Blair Oaks, man. I didn't know what to expect walking in there. We wanted it. We wanted to be there. We showed our kids the tape, and everyone was like, "Coach, are you sure?" I'm like, "Of course. This is Friday Night Lights at its best."
Yeah.
And the police officers, the athletic director, everyone was so over, just amazing, and just their professional etiquette, just their beliefs. Like, you can tell they were raised, like my grandma always said, you're raised the right way. You can tell. You can tell with all you guys, both with all the young men that you guys were coaching, and just how you guys conducted yourselves. It was a respect thing. It was a respect thing. It wasn't like, this stigma or this stereotypical belief of things. It was just, it was amazing. We got a chance to stop at McDonald's after that game, and the ladies at the McDonald's was like, "Did you guys win?" I'm like, "Ma'am, if we we had to win for me to stop and get McDonald's." But for that year and for that ride, man, it was just phenomenal. So I appreciate you guys 110%. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on here and to testify about how good God is and how much fun I have coaching and how blessed I am to coach at McCluer South Berkeley for 16, and now, going on my second year at McCluer, and we're blessed. We're beyond blessed. I appreciate you guys.
There's no doubt you're going to do great things, but I got to ask one more question because I'm curious now. Favorite Bible verse?
Oh, man.
While you think about it, I'll tell you mine. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
I have two. First one is Philippians 4:13. I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And number two is 2 Thessalonians 3:10. Those unwilling to work shall not eat.
You know what I would say? I love those, and I have a song and everyone's gonna listen to this podcast, gonna start dying laughing when I sing, because I'm gonna sing a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, go.
And it's just something that I say, and that's what I said at the end of the game after we played you guys. And I said, I'm so glad that Jesus is his name. And that's what I sing. And, because it just gives me my hope. It gives me my strength that I need. And no matter what the adversity or where we're going, if I sing my little verse, I'm so glad that Jesus is his name. And I sing that. And that's what I sing before I do presentations. That's what I do before I did this podcast. And that's what me and my little boy, we sing that before he goes to school. And, and that's what helps us. That's what helps us. So I would say every part of the Bible is amazing, but I would say, like, that little verse that my mom used to sing to me when I was a little boy, and now I sing to my son, is beyond what we use. So yeah.
Coach, we really loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been amazing. The 4th episode of Process Preparation and Performance. I don't think it's going to disappoint. I know I had one heck of a good time here tonight. Faith and hard work, man. Faith and hard work. Let it just kind of go everywhere. Let it just branch out and touch everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Love it, Coach. Thank you.
Oh, appreciate you guys so much.